Hello, what's up everyone? So in the first video we wrote our code and our code simply says hello world. I'll go back into my CS50 appliance. Let me go ahead and zoom in full screen here. Alright, zoom in a bit. So when we run this code, go ahead and run it by typing in /hello, and we see that it says hello world. That's pretty cool. So in this video, we'll go line by line and discuss what each line does, and then we'll rewrite and recompile this program in our terminal just to illustrate an alternative method of creating code. So the first line right here, this include, go ahead and bring that up here, this include standard io.h. So what this is this is known as the preprocessor, and essentially what we're doing is linking a library to our program so we can use the library's functions within our program. So for instance, in this program, we are calling the printf function, and this is inside of this standard io.h library. So if I were to delete this, I'll go ahead and do that right now. I'll delete it, zoom out, recompile the program by doing, first let me save it. You have to save your program before you recompile, so I'll save it and I'll do make hello. And now I'm getting an error, and what does this error say? It says, please include the header standard io.h or explicitly provide a declaration for it. Well, we had that before, and I just did that to illustrate why you need this library included within the program. So now if I go ahead and save it and I go ahead and recompile the program, it compiles fine and I can run it and we see the same output as before. Sweet. So the only difference is I was messing with that a little bit. I took away that symbol, so I guess this is a good time to illustrate it. So you notice how when I didn't have this \n, that when I go down here, it ran my program and it said hello world. However, it didn't go to a new line. It didn't push essentially when it would be the same as us pushing the return key, but it didn't do that. That's because I didn't have this escape character right here, this \n, because this new line, I never told my program to do a new line, it didn't do that. So now if I go ahead and run the new program that we made, let me make it, and then I'll run it. Now since I've added in this \n, now it's giving us that return carriage or whatever, it's giving us a new line pretty much. So keep that in mind in the future when you're writing code. You're going to need to go ahead and memorize these little nuances of C. So anyways, we'll go to the next line, this int main void. So what this is saying is that we have a function in our program and we're calling this function main, and we are actually creating this function ourselves. And every program in C is going to have a main function. You absolutely need to have it, and your program looks for this main function, and this is what it runs first. So our main function is going to return something, and it's returning a 0 in this case. And a 0 is an integer. So we declare that right here. We say, hey, at the end of this, we're going to return a integer. So my main function is returning an integer, and in this case, that integer is 0. So what this really means, I'll just go ahead and skip to the line 7, return 0. What this really means is that our program ran well and everything is smooth, everything is fine. And it's the same when we visit a website. We get a return status of 200, which indicates that everything is fine and that no problems occurred. And we don't actually really see that, and we're not really going to see the 0. It's just there so we know that everything is fine. So we're returning an integer. I could have returned -1 if there was an error. I could have changed this to 4. It doesn't matter, but just by default we're going to be returning 0. That's how you do it. And every function accepts a parameter. And our main function, we're not going to put in any parameters. So for instance, if I was to type in main right here, so when I do hello, because that's our program name. I don't type in anything else after that. I just type in hello because this program is void of any parameters, and that's what that indicates. We're not going to have to put anything in there. We'll go to line 5, but before we do that, let me just say real quick that whenever we write a function, or we encompass everything inside of curly braces. So I could have written like an if condition right here, so I'll do if something. I would have had to write another couple of curly braces because it's saying that this right here is encompassing all of this code right here. So that's what the braces do. They're just saying everything inside of these braces belongs to this main function. So then I'll properly space this right here too. So then we have line 5, printf hello world. This is the meat of the program, and this really does everything. So we have a function that we're borrowing from our standard io.h library. And like I said, all functions have parameters within them. Whether the parameter is void of something or not, you still have to make these two parentheses right here so that you can tell the program what parameters you're gonna, you can tell the function which parameters you're going to enter. In the case of printf, this accepts a string as the parameter. And so the string that we put in here, we put in hello world, but you could really put anything. I'm gonna go ahead and put in I really like to snowboard with beer and bacon in hand. So now if I save this program and I go and I recompile it, I want you to kind of guess what the issue I'm going to run into with it is. So I really like to snowboard with beer and bacon in hand. Alright, I'll make this window bigger just so we get all the code output correctly. I'll run our program, but look, I didn't do any \ns, so this is all going to be on one line, and it's going to look messy. Oh, meant to do that down here. So, I really like to snowboard with beer and bacon in hand, but look, we haven't pushed the return key essentially, so I can go ahead and do that right there. Save it. Now I'll recompile the program and run it. There we go. I really like to snowboard with beer and bacon in hand. And let me just show you one more little thing before we move on. I can insert this \n wherever I would like. I can do it multiple times in the same printf function. So I'll go ahead and recompile and do that. I really like to snowboard with beer and bacon in hand, and you see now that we don't have to call multiple printf functions to have multiple spacings. We can just do this \n right here. And every single line of C is going to end with a semicolon. If I didn't have that semicolon, I'm going to get an error. I'll recompile the program, and now I'm getting an error that, what's going on? Expected semicolon after the expression, so I'll go ahead and put it back in there to make everything happy and run. So I'm going to copy this code, and I'm going to, before we run out of time, I want to show you another way to make and recompile this program. So I'm back on my Mac operating system. I'm going to go ahead and open up the terminal, zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to create the program, and I'm going to run it from here now. So I'll just go ahead and type in nano, which is the text editor, and I'll call my file hello.c. Actually, first, before we do that, I'm going to print my current working directory to see where I'm at. I'm going to go to my desktop just so I can have my file on my desktop, and it's easier for all of us to see visually what's happening. I'll go ahead and do nano and call this hello.c, and now I have a new text file that I'm going to go ahead and create. I'll do the same where I'll do #include, let me zoom in a bit for you guys, #include standard io.h, then I do my int main void because this is void of parameters, then my curly braces because it's all encompassed within this main function, print f semicolon, and this accepts an argument of strings, and I'm going to say, hello world, how is it going, question mark, \n, and then, of course, I'll do my return 0 just to say that everything went well and the program was a success. I'll save it by typing in Control-O, Enter, Control-X, and now I can compile the program by typing in GCC. This is the program that comes built in on a lot of Unix operating systems, and Mac OS is part of Unix, or it is a flavor of Unix. Zoom out, I'll do GCC, and then the file name, which is hello.c. And now if I go ahead and do that, you can see that I didn't get an error, so that means that it compiled correctly. And now if I look on my desktop, I now have a.out file, which is an executable file. So I can execute it by doing the same thing, which is /a.out. And I see, hello world, how is it going? So that's just another way to rewrite and recompile your program. See you guys in the next video.